What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Kid Taj. Today we're going to be addressing the Chicago Bulls' terrible, dysfunctional, absolutely ridiculously bad franchise decisions, front office decisions. But most importantly, we're going to talk about the prospect of superstar guard forward Jimmy Butler being shopped or being traded to the Boston Celtics. Now, as of right now, it looks like Jimmy Butler has, popped up again, because he was there before in the beginning of the season. People were talking about how he was in trade rumors. He started playing well. They started playing well. They died down. Now, with all this stuff going on with the media, and then we got more stuff coming out about the front office. That story, I don't know if you guys heard the story about when he was, some of you might know it, but I'm just going to spread the news because, I think everybody watching this should know. When Jimmy Butler, back in the 2014-15 season, when he was about to sign that 4-year, $48 million contract extension, this was the year he won MIP, Most Improved Player, but it was the very beginning of the year. He turned it down in the end, and they ended up getting all that money because he became so good that they had to pay him a max. Now, apparently, somebody in the front office threatened Jimmy Butler that if he didn't sign this extension for 4-year, $48 million, which would definitely be a lot less expensive for the team, because they ended up signing him for like $19 million a year instead of $12 million a year at the end of that season. The person said, there's someone, an insider for the Bulls a few years ago, this guy was talking about it yesterday, and he was saying, well, these guys, someone in the front office was talking about how they would actually play Tony Snell over Jimmy Butler. They would dock his minutes, so that he wouldn't be able to put up good stats, so he wouldn't be able to get that max deal, so they'd be able to keep him for value. And that was if he didn't do this 4-year, $48 million, because they didn't want to spend more money than they had to. And Thibodeau heard about it, and that shit was not going down with Tom Thibodeau. And a year later, Tom Thibodeau's not even on the team. Their front office was like, hey, we can't have guys disagreeing with but that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, you can't do that as a front office. This guy just became a superstar, and he was a role player. When you said that, you would look really stupid. You look really stupid, if that's to be true. We're not sure, but Jimmy Butler didn't deny it, or he didn't say it wasn't true or was true. He just kind of said it was a long time ago, we're cool now or whatever. But then there's more complaints about how the front office is spying on them, and Jimmy Butler doesn't, I don't know, there's no trust or communication or honesty between really anybody in the front office. These guys are terrible. I could spend 50 minutes talking about how terrible the Chicago Bulls front office is, but I'm not going to talk about that because, this video is not about that. It's about the prospect of trading Jimmy Butler. Now, if you guys are wondering why Jimmy Butler would be traded, it's because maybe the front office doesn't believe that Jimmy Butler is capable of leading a team to a championship contending level. He doesn't believe, or the GMs don't believe, that he is capable of that sort of leadership, of the ability to be a number one guy on a championship caliber team. And that's where it all starts. And I think also what adds to it is the fact that what he's saying to the media. He's not exactly the most well-behaved player that we've seen, and I think we all know that. Now, we're looking at the Celtics here because the Celtics have everything you need. If you guys are wondering why the Celtics are like that location for why everybody, for where everybody's looking to trade somebody, a superstar, like DeMarcus Cousins, Gordon Hayward, Jimmy Butler, those guys. I don't know why Gordon Hayward would be in trade rumors. I don't think he is. I'm just going to leave him out. DeMarcus Cousins, Jimmy Butler, you hear about them going to the Celtics, and it's because the Celtics have the picks, the Nets picks that they got from that KG Paul Pierce trade. Everybody wants a piece of those picks. They have the number one pick next year probably, as long as the Nets, finish last in the league, which they probably will, and win the lottery. They'll have the highest chance. The Celtics have a really good shot at that number one pick. The best shot out of anybody right now. And with that, you could trade Jimmy Butler for that pick, or for that pick next year, because they have the Nets first round pick the next year as well. And you could get a few players. You get an Avery Bradley, a Jay Crowder, a Marcus Smart, maybe 2 out of 3 of those guys, a Terry Rozier, maybe, just for Jimmy Butler. He's so much value. He's 27 years old. He's a superstar player. You pair him with Isaiah Thomas and Al Horford, and that team is championship contending probably. You look at where they are now. They're in the second seed at the moment. They're losing to Toronto right now. As I'm saying that, so they might not be second seed for that long. But, if they get Jimmy Butler, then they're definitely the top 2 team in the Eastern Conference for sure, talent-wise, and they're a contender in the playoffs. The Celtics, I think, if you're Danny Ainge, and you pull the trigger on this trade, it's because you know that this is one of your best opportunities to get this championship. they have a great team. I don't know if we're going to see a Boston Celtics team this good. You know, they're a second seed team already. They can't beat the Cavs right now. I don't think they can beat the Cavs. I don't think they have a shot unless LeBron gets injured. Because think about it. Isaiah Thomas is one player, and he's an amazing player at that. But the Boston Celtics have struggled a lot against the elite teams in this league. They've really had no problem against a lot of the, below 500 or maybe just solid teams. They played pretty well against those guys, but against top tier talent, I mean, they're not great. So, getting a Jimmy Butler would definitely elevate that. You'd make them, you'd have Jimmy Butler for the next few years, and you'd have Isaiah Thomas for the next few years, and then you'd be able to, you still have trade chips, honestly. But you're kind of going all in, maybe, because you're trading away a lot of your bench, maybe your support. So, that's one thing. Now, why the Bulls will want to do this is because they're doing a full rebuild. The Chicago Bulls are terrible right now in terms of, what they're doing. They're stuck in mediocrity. They're not going to win a championship this season. And I think we've seen that this general management is incapable of building a team. Jimmy Butler, they signed a fucking rookie coach to a 5-year deal. A coach with no NBA experience, and he's the worst coach in the NBA. He's been in the league for 2 seasons, and he's done absolutely nothing. They had a playoff streak going. He broke that streak with a very good team last year, and then this year, we might not even make the playoffs this year as well, and he can't do anything about it. He has absolutely no impact on anything. His after timeout plays are absolutely shit. And he's on a 5-year deal, so they're not just going to fire him. They look like idiots. They already do look like idiots because their last 3 or 4 draft picks have all been shit. They haven't done anything. Their young players aren't good enough. And when you're building a team around Jimmy Butler, you can't pick up Rajon Rondo in the offseason. And, the only guys you could get were Rajon Rondo, who no one else wanted, and Dwayne Wade, who happened to be from Chicago, so he wanted to go back there. They couldn't get anybody. This front office, they could not land a single free agent. And the only reason why, a really good free agent. The only reason why Dwayne Wade was even there was because Jimmy Butler hit him up. He's like, yo, come to our team. We want to win. And they're not going to win with Rajon Rondo and Dwayne Wade because those guys they're not shooters. We need more shooters and, whatever. It's just a terribly built team. You surround Jimmy Butler, a guy who requires shooters around him. If you're going to build a championship team around Jimmy Butler, you need solid, good role players that play hard, that can shoot the basketball and play defense. That's what you need. And they didn't re-sign Etuan Moore last year. If they didn't re-sign Etuan Moore in the offseason, that would have been perfect because he does that. He's a great 3-point shooter, good defensive player. It's exactly what would fit next to Jimmy Butler. Rajon Rondo, you signed instead, and look what happened, okay? Things are not going great. So that's a reason why you'd want to get Jimmy Butler out of there, for me, is because this front office is incapable of building a team around him. You better just fire the front office if you're going to keep Jimmy Butler. Either the front office and the coach has got to go or Jimmy Butler's got to go, in my opinion, because I don't see how the front office is capable of building a team around Jimmy Butler. So to the Celtics, Jimmy Butler would go, and they would get, my projection, probably a 2018 first-round pick, Jay Crowder, Avery Bradley, and maybe not Avery Bradley, maybe Bradley and Smart and Rozier, or maybe Bradley and Crowder, Rozier, 3 out of the 4 of those, and a pick, probably. Maybe that's asking for a little bit too much because that's what the Bulls were asking for. At least maybe they asked for 4 players. They really. That I don't think it's gonna happen. To be honest with you guys, I'm just skeptical because trades never happen anyway. But for me, it's like the Bulls want way more than anyone's gonna give them. Honestly, they want so much for Jimmy Butler. They're not gonna get it. Boston's gonna be like, hell no. They're gonna have to compromise. And they don't have the guts to pull the trigger on a trade like this. I just don't think they do. Even though, it could be good for the franchise, could be bad for the franchise. Me personally, I love Jimmy Butler. I think that he's great. I don't see why you would get rid of him. Other than the fact that we have a shit front office that can't build a championship team. And if you keep the front office, then you got to get rid of him because he's going to be stuck in mediocrity forever. And if you get rid of him, then they'll be trash. They'll get the good picks. And they'll get some, maybe, I don't know, they can't develop young players because their coach is ass. Anyway, I don't know. This is, it's just silly. And, I think that if it I think it's not a small chance this happens. Like there's a 30% chance that Jimmy Butler is not on the Bulls by the end of the trade deadline. I would say 30%. Maybe that's a little too high. 25. I'm just trying to look at how this worked, because if the Bulls got all those guys, also if the Bulls got Jay Crowder and Avery Bradley, they'd just be playing for like a shit team now. Those guys, it would be weird because I don't think they'd be terrible if they got Jay Crowder and Avery Bradley and Smart or something like that, or maybe Crowder and Smart and Rozier. They still wouldn't be trash. I mean, those guys could get them a couple W's, and along with the players they already have. Like, I don't know. I just, whatever. It's just the Bulls have gotten themselves into a terrible hole here, and trading Jimmy Butler is an option, but in the end, no, I don't think it would end up well. I just think that this front office is ass. We got to get rid of the front office. But yeah, Jimmy Butler, the Boston Celtics. Let me know what you guys think about that. Who would win that trade? What are the Celtics if they get Jimmy Butler? What does it make them? Does it make them, a team that could automatically challenge the Cavs, or are they like the same because they gave up their role players or something like that? Let me know in the comments. I'm out. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.